Bach's Giant Leap, One Moon Rock's Journey Through Time and Space by Neil Armstrong. When I was a boy, I dreamed I was high above the earth, with only clouds for company. For as long as I could hold my breath, I floated. But I could not hold my breath forever. I'd wake and watch the moon drifting by my window, wondering at all it must have seen and imagining how it was made. I learned that when the earth was very young, 4.5 billion years ago, it was involved in a great celestial fender bender. A smaller planet smashed into Earth. The collision sent billions of tons of molten rock into orbit. Over hundreds of years, this rock merged and stuck together to form a sphere. The Romans called it Luna, the Greeks Selena. We call it Moon. It was a turbulent and terrifying time for the moon. Lava flooded up from below its surface, filling giant craters like hot soup in a bowl. Geysers of erupting gas shot globules of molten rock into the sky. 500 million years of chaos passed before the moon began to quiet down. As the crust cooled, it cracked. A piece of fresh young basalt broke off from a larger rock and rolled away. I call them Bach. Geologists, people who study rocks, have a saying, rocks remember. History is recorded in the minerals and marks of each boulder and pebble. During the next 4 billion years, Bach would see and remember many things. He saw the sun rise in the east and parade majestically across the sky to set in the west. Occasionally, new stars would burn with a fiery brilliance against the velvet blackness of space. Constellations changed their shape as stars were born, burned for millions of years, and disappeared. Back then, the earth also rose and set. 600 million years went by, and then an asteroid struck Bach. It catapulted him into the sky toward a crater at a terrific height and speed. Bach held his breath for as long as he could, but eventually he fell. Skipping a time or two, he came to rest on the rim of a small crater. Part of his right side broke off when he landed. All his basalt neighbors were left far behind. He didn't know if they had been vaporized, melted, or blasted far away. Bach was alone. It took him about 500 million years to get over the experience and settle down before once more turning his gaze to the sky. The earth was still there. It was in a state of terrible upheaval. Volcanoes turned its atmosphere to smoke, but when this cleared, Bach could see the blue of newly formed oceans. Continents would creep out of the sea, linger a while, and then slip once more below the waves. And swimming deep beneath those waves was the teeming earliest complex life on Earth. Another millennium went by. The moon was quiet now. Nothing ever happened. But on Earth plants appeared on land, and amphibians developed, and ventured out of the sea, and in time learned to live above the water. Dinosaurs roamed the earth, but they disappeared almost before Bach noticed them. The entire chapter of Earth's history, there and gone in the blink of 170 million years. Bach was then a little over 3.5 billion years old and starting to feel sleepy. Through tired eyes, he glimpsed the rise of the mammals. He saw the earth turn into a giant snowball beneath the grip of the ice ages. Just before sleep enveloped him, he saw a new creature standing on 2 legs, holding a flint-tipped spear, staring in wonder at the moon. He slept deeply as the moon continued to accompany the earth on its endless journey around the sun. And so he missed the unfolding story of humankind. He missed Plato and Hypatia, Charles Darwin and Maria Mitchell, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky and Bessie Coleman. He missed the birth of the boy who grew up to climb aboard a rocket destined for the moon. Bach couldn't have guessed that his nap would end with a rude awakening early one lunar morning. A peculiar creature was lifting him with an unusual metal device. He was roughly thrown into a box with some acquaintances he knew only slightly. Then the lid was closed, and it was dark. Bach felt a brief force, then a sense of weightlessness for a time. Flames outside the window blotted out the blue of the earth as the space capsule streaked through the atmosphere, blazing like a comet. The heat stirred a deep and ancient memory in Bach, a memory from so long ago it seemed like a dream. He remembered the early days of the moon, the chaos and fire of its birth. He remembered he'd been a part of the earth. Millions of people all around the world were watching, holding their breath until they saw the space capsule floating beneath 3 bright parachutes splashing into the arms of the ocean, returning all on board safely to the place from which their journey began. And now you know some of Bach's history. You can go and see him at a museum in the United States, or at least a part of him. A chip off the old Bach, you could say. Perhaps you might try and imagine what he's thinking as he looks out at us looking at him. Does he see us as something new and different on this earth that he's watched for so long? Or like the dinosaurs, just another species that exists for a brief moment of geological time? After all he's seen, Bach must be very wise. But if you ask him about the Egyptian pharaohs, don't hold your breath waiting for an answer. He missed them. The end.